Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today, we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, I hope that you are all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. Before I officially jump on into this video, I do want to let you guys know that my media company, the Web3 Alert that I do run with Tokenizer currently, we just announced the digital newspaper. This is a newsletter that pushes weekly updates, so 4 updates a month, and it's all breaking down the current events, the most up-to-date news around the DLT space and the revolution happening around the space as well. Right now, and this is going to be forever going forward, $5 a month, that's the initial charge to get access to that newsletter. Guys, there is so much information piled into that newsletter. You guys are going to want to be a part of it. So if you guys do want to go check out that newsletter, there's going to be a link down in the description below. Only $5 a month, and this is a digital newspaper. Everything around the DLT space, from HBAR to XRP to XDC to XLM, Casper, Render, you name it. Every single thing is going to be covered in that newsletter for $5 a month. If you guys do want to go check it out, like I said, the link's down in the description below, as well as in the comments below. But with that in mind, the path to alt season is right in front of us. That is the next destination. I put out a post recently, April 15th, week of is decision time for Bitcoin dominance. We could break out or even down beforehand, but I'm watching this chart closely. And this is the overall chart of Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. That bottom trend line goes all the way back to the bottom of 2022. The top trend line goes all the way back to the top of 2021. And as you guys do see, there has been multiple wicks to the upside trying to attempt a breakout on this chart, but no confirmation. Again, April 15th is where we hit that wall and it's decision time. But a decision could happen this week or possibly even next week beforehand. But we are going to watch this chart closely because, again, this is the chart that matters in terms of alts going crazy or not. Now, I did put 2 possible scenarios. If Bitcoin starts a big move to the upside while this chart breaks down, then altcoins are about to have a massive run. If Bitcoin starts a big move to the upside while this chart breaks out, then altcoins will take a backseat until Bitcoin dominance gets weak and rejects. Either way, we are getting close to the actual alt season, so the reply guys can keep complaining. We are focused on what actually matters. Now, everyone has been focused on XRP price action. And I want you all to understand how bullish XRP has been, even though we wicked all the way down here to 56 cents. First off, crucial demand zone tapped, but look at the candle body closes on the weekly. We back tested the trend line perfectly, held above it for 2 weeks in a row, and then the next 2 weekly candles all above the trend line. And now this weekly candle that we are currently trading on is above 63 cents, which is a big area of resistance that seems as though we are turning into support. And now the next big level that we need to break out of and actually have a weekly close above is 66 cents. From there, we target 75 cents. A weekly candle close above 75 cents will take us to 92 cents. And from there, we target the 2021 highs and then the all-time highs. But the big thing to focus on is not the USD pair. Although this chart looks great and it looks very bullish, like I said in previous videos, the Bitcoin pair. Now, this weekly candle is weak. And it is because Bitcoin is starting to have a move above $70,000 yet again. But I want you guys to understand that we already tapped that bottom trend line. Now we just range here for a little bit. It could be very similar to the time frame back here in January of 2021 before we start to have those big upside swings on this chart. Now the first initial target on this chart is from the current level 60, almost 2% away. Again, if we go back over here, this chart could break back down to 58.5 cents almost, this 58.65 cent level. That's still a possibility. If we do, and we continue to have that 60% move, guess what? That's above 92 cents. Regardless of the levels, all we really need to see is the above the trend line hold. As long as we hold here, we are still good. That 60% move to the initial target on the Bitcoin pair will take us above 92 cents. And that's just to get into the demand zone. Then we target some of those major highs. For an example, the July 2023 high from when XRP was deemed not a security. But there's a lot of other major levels here that we could target. Like, for example, the 2021 highs from April, May. And if that's the case, guys, first off, July high, 223% move. The 2021 highs, 323% move. Those are very significant swings. Now, everyone's always questioning, what about some of these highs from, 2018, 2017? If we target those highs, things are going to get very, very interesting. Just going to resistance zones, we're talking about a 1700% move against Bitcoin. We're not talking about just the USD pair because it's not going to match the percentages exact. But we could start to see major swings to the upside on the USD pair once this breaks out. And like I said, we are backtesting that significant trend line. So I do think XRP's time is very close. I know that you guys have been told this multiple times over, but this is why we focus on what matters. We have been ranging down here for 4 weeks now. It could still range for a little bit longer before the big swings to the upside. But go back to 2017, 2018. Go back to even 2021. This is typically when we start to see big swings to the upside. And XRP dominance, I've been watching this chart for a while. We are expecting a range down here to form. We are waiting for this to go sideways and chop a little bit before the big move to the upside. And when does XRP dominance break out? Oh yeah, that's right. When Bitcoin dominance breaks down. Now, big shout out to Kevin Cage because he's actually comparing the altcoin market to Bitcoin. We have altcoin market excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Last cycle versus today. December 14th, 2020, Bitcoin drew its first major weekly candle into all-time highs. The altcoin market followed behind a couple weeks later, breaking into new all-time highs 63 days later, first major weekly candle. If we are going to rhyme with the previous two cycles, we need to see Bitcoin draw the first major weekly candle into new all-time highs, candle bodies over the next 6 to 8 weeks. And candle bodies is the big thing to focus on. I see a lot of people saying like, oh, well, we already broke the all-time high. We never got a significant candle close, which I will address. And this is over the next 6 to 8 weeks. 2017 took about 69 days. 2020 only took about 17 days. I'm considering the wick we had this month on March 8th as the first all-time high on Bitstamp. Some may consider the March 11th daily candle bottom line first or second week of March. If we do rhyme, we would need to see the first major weekly candle close above all-time highs between now and the end of May. Again, this is why timeframes and being patient is crucial to note. We'll see if we follow similar lengths. Looks to be either a 2024 blow-off top structure or a nice and steady cycle into 2025. Now, I'm going to be addressing this in this video actually as well. But here we have the altcoin market, and this is Bitcoin. This goes back to 2021, right? And this is breaking those all-time highs from 2017, 2018 on the total 3. On the right side, we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin already surged above that level of the all-time highs from 2017, 2018. That was December of 2020. It took until February 2021 for altcoins to start peaking. Over here, we have the current altcoin market and we have the current Bitcoin market. Again, we need to have a weekly close above the candle wick back in 2021. But here we have the altcoin market. If we get to that initial all-time high level, that's almost $13 trillion, guys. And we have a long way to go until we hit that. Because right now we're currently trading at about roughly 700 billion. I think right now currently it's about like 755 billion, which I will address in this video. Now, with Bitcoin, I was addressing on if we were topped out. I said this was the level that we tapped on March 6th before we pushed to $73,000. Now, this level we did lose. I'm going to address it as well on the chart. But it's a crucial level for Bitcoin to hold, and it will confirm us being bottom. Now, to simply put this, the major thing that I wanted to watch was a candle close above 64.5K. If we look at Bitcoin, this is the weekly close. Let's actually go and look at the 3-day chart, because the 3-day chart is a big one to watch for as well. If we look here, right, we never actually closed below 65K. We had the candle wicks down into this demand zone, but we never closed below it, and we never had a candle body close below significant levels. Even if we look at the daily chart, right, we had closes down here, but all of these closes were on significant support, going even back to March 2nd and also March 3rd. The candle body closes going forward after these 2 days, the 19th and the 20th, look at this. This is higher highs and also higher lows. So as we really look at this, this was already printing a bullish scenario for Bitcoin. But now this weekly close, if we continue to push like this weekly close could be the weekly candle close that is above those all-time highs, which is going to be huge. Now, candle bodies, you might be questioning, well, Nick, if the candle bodies are so important, we already had candle body closes above, these candle bodies back here in 2021. I get that, but the candle wick is what we are really focusing on from 2021 in this scenario. The candle bodies getting a close above this level back here is a big deal. As you guys can see, we were closing right on resistance. So this was not a confirmed breakout yet into new all-time highs. That's why we got this massive liquidity wick down here into the demand zone. And now we are peaking above this level. And it looks as though we are getting a confirmation this week of possibly having a new all-time high for Bitcoin officially confirmed in, which will lead to price discovery. Now, the initial target on the upside here is $80,500. Then a rejection back down to about the $70,000 level, retesting the resistance zone. We could even backtest just the resistance zone around $74,000. That would be perfectly fine. It doesn't need to go as deep in terms of this pullback. But from there, we are looking at 88K. And then we really just address the altcoin market, because I don't really care about Bitcoin after that. We just want to see Bitcoin go much higher because it is beneficial for altcoins to go much higher. Now, in terms of this, right? I did put out a post saying, feels oddly similar to the 2020 fall timeframe right now in this space. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know what happened next. Now, a lot of people were kind of confused on this statement because they didn't understand what exactly I meant by this statement. Let's actually address this. So I have the total 3 on the chart. This is the total crypto market cap of crypto. And as you guys do see, we are starting to peak on this chart above the trend line. This is 2020. The first area that we started to peak on this chart above the trend line, going all the way back to 2017, 2018's all-time highs, that was December of 2020. This was the official start of the bull run, because what followed next in terms of the current weekly candle that we're on right now, the next weekly candle, the weekly candle after that, and the weekly candle after that was all bullish moves. And this actually took the total crypto market cap from roughly $553 billion all the way up to about 1.13 trillion. If we are following that same exact move, this will put us into a new all-time high for the total crypto market cap above 3 trillion. We're at 2.57 trillion. And ultimately speaking, we would be at almost $5 trillion on this initial move. But to be conservative, I'm really just targeting about roughly 3.75 trillion on this first move. But this was 2020, right before the huge move started. And as you guys do see, look at this. It was a liquidity wick the week before, and then the next week was a big breakout to the upside. Guys, look at where we are at right now. Liquidity wick, breakout structure. This is pretty much identical to what 2020 was showing us before the big move started. So as everyone is getting, a little bit panicky, they're getting worried, they're getting concerned, it's so comical that we already got the major confirmation on this chart, essentially. By the way, March of 2020 is depicted right over here on this chart. Guys, look at March of 2023. This is when banks started to collapse. Everyone thought it was the end. I know that it wasn't the same exact, fearful levels, but we still got a major black swan essentially during that time. And this is March of 2020. And then leading up to it, we kind of followed the same exact structure where we went to the upside, kind of ranged a little bit, and then we had those big moves during the fall timeframe. And then now here we are in March of 2024, and we're kind of following the fall timeframe of 2020. I know it's a little bit of a different time frame wise, but the structure is still pretty much identical. The total 3, which is the altcoin market, again, this is the beginning of 2021, because remember, the altcoin market follows after. Here's the structure of 2017, 2018. This is the all-time highs. This is where we were at in 2020 into 2021. We were just grinding against this trend line. Now, again, liquidity wick, next candle, we tried to break out, we didn't. The candle after that, so 2 weeks after the liquidity wick, we got the big breakout to the upside, and as you guys can see, the altcoin market went crazy. It went from a low of, and I'm going off of candle body structure here, 128 billion, all the way up to 460, almost $3 billion. Now, if we do have that same move, right now we are peaking a little bit, but what if we do just range for another 2 weeks? It would take us into the first week of April, which is fine with me. Now, I do have this April 22nd date on the chart right now. Why is that? Well, mainly I was just looking at how long it actually took the altcoin market to break out on this chart from the initial candle wick to the trend line. So that was this one. And it did take about roughly 6 weeks, 42 days to actually get that confirmed breakout. If that was the case, we already have the first wick here. This would take us to, like I said, April 22nd if we do follow that time frame structure perfectly. But I don't think that we're going to. I actually think that we break out on the next weekly candle, or possibly even this weekly candle, in terms of a confirmation above this trend line. But again, we are following that same structure from 2020 and 2021 identically, almost. And the big thing that I'm looking at is, are we about to have alt season start? It feels as though we are. And you know what's funny about all of this is Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin structure is also very similar from 2020 into 2021. Here we have the all-time highs back in 2017, 2018 for Bitcoin, right? This is us peaking above the all-time highs, having a liquidity wick on the next candle body, or on the next candle wick. The candle body structure closed above the resistance level, which is what we're watching for now. And then the next weekly candle was parabolic. And it followed by another 3 additional weekly candle bodies to go parabolic as well. If we're looking at where we are at right now, again, closes at resistance. Then we get that liquidity wick down to the demand zone. And then the next weekly candle is us peaking. This could be that weekly candle that was this one in terms of December 14th. So I do think that Bitcoin is about to go parabolic to the upside, and the altcoin market is going to follow behind it. Now, one thing that I am watching is the DXY. The DXY was peaking above an almost 2-year downtrend. This is a warning sign. We need to continue to see a rejection on the dollar, and this actually continue to weaken. We want to see a loss of this trend line here. We don't want to see something like this where we bounce off of it and break out of the 105 level. We want to go down into this trend line again, grind against it, and then have a breakdown. I'm watching the dollar a little bit more this week than majority, but I still believe that we are about to have a very, very fun time in the market. But we still need to address this chart because this is an initial warning sign before we get too excited, before we let our emotions cloud our judgment. We need to watch this chart very, very close. But as we address that, the Bitcoin pairs for all altcoins is something that we need to watch. Dominance, there's not always a dominance chart for altcoins, but if there is, definitely watch that as well, because this is all strength. These are 2 strength charts, which lead to the USD pair having a big breakout. But I do think that this is very similar to the fall time frame. I could be wrong, but these 2 charts are telling us exactly what we want to see happen in the space, and it's very similar to 2020. Bitcoin, it's not the exact same structure, but it is still very similar, where we are fighting resistance. Again, 2 candles in a row, we got that. The third candle was kind of a candle to the upside. We didn't initially get that, but this could be that one before we have another rough candle. So this could take us back down initially to like 67,000, or even back testing resistance at about roughly 65.5K before we get another candle, which again, that would take us to about roughly April 8th, which would pretty much align perfectly with what I was talking about over here on the altcoin market, which would take us to about roughly April 22nd of 2024, the week of. So definitely watch closely. I do think that we're getting very, very close. We still need to address the DXY. I'm watching for this one to weaken a little bit more. It looks as though we are going to continue to weaken, but this is a big one, because once this does start to break down, that's when we really start to see, Bitcoin go into overdrive and print like roughly $5,000 plus candles in a day. And a lot of people will say like, no way, that's not possible. Just to give you guys a quick little image, here's daily candles on Bitcoin leading up to where we are at right now. So back here, while the dollar was rejecting, here's one candle. This was roughly a $3,800 candle in one day. There's been candles that were $5,000 plus. For an example, this one was a 7,000 plus candle in just one day. So if the dollar is going to weaken, that means that we could get like $5,000 plus candles in one day, but we still need to watch it closely before we get a little bit more excited. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.